One is to bring treats with you so that you've got something interesting on you, so you've got a better chance of getting a behavior or getting a sit, etc. Another is to ask for sits and downs on the walks, or targets, or whatever, whatever the dog knows. I should also mention that it's asking for sits and downs. It's not just saying sit and down. There's hand signals that we use. If you don't know them, I suggest going to the B&E class. Everybody handling dogs, would be awesome if they went to the B&E. But basically a sit signal is kind of like this, and a down is like that. And they'll read that better than your voice. So using the hand signals to get sits and downs on the walks. So I'd say 5 to 10 on every excursion. Just try and get 5 to 10 because you're going to get a dog that is starting to listen and starting to do things outside, which is a big complaint of people with new dogs. The third one is waiting at doors. Were you here for the demo for that? So getting all the dogs to wait at doors, and this can apply to your foster dogs or your own dogs, but it helps teach them some self-control. It's a really basic way of teaching self-control, and one that I find is valuable for your arms too, because it prevents going out if you've got Marley or something. And then the fourth, does anybody remember the fourth? Yeah. It's don't let them pull. I'd rather, if the dog starts pulling, walk the other way. If he starts pulling again, just walk back the other way. I'd rather you did that for 15 minutes than got a mile around the block in 15 minutes, or a mile around the neighborhood in 15 minutes. I recommend just saying, all right, we're going to go out for 20 minutes and we're going to go as far as you let me go. And this is not going to teach them how to walk on leash, but it's going to teach them from learning that pulling works. So that when they are placed in a home, they've got a better chance of learning how to walk nicely on leash. All right. On leash, and he's interested in, it could be another dog, it could be the crowd. I'm going to stay at a distance where he's not barking, he's not lunging, he's not really pulling, but he's interested. And you'll see that, and it'll be that time where they're sort of attached to you only by a leash. It's like the only reason they've got any connection to you whatsoever is the leash. Before the moment where they're going to start pulling and barking at the object. And that's your threshold point. You want to always stay below the threshold. And I'm just going to stand there. I'm going to have the leash in my hands, giving him about 3 feet of leash, and I'm going to hold the leash right at my waist, so that, because that's where my strength is, my center of gravity is at my waist. If I'm holding it out like this and the dog decides to pull, I'm just going to end up going like this, and that's a little victory for pulling. So I want to try and keep it here. So that's the reason a dog like him, you kind of want to use a training collar, because even if I have the leash here, I'm not going to be able to neutralize that without some sort of a harness or gentle leader or something like that. And I'm just going to wait, and it might take 2 or 3 minutes, and it's going to seem like 2 or 3 hours when you're actually standing there, but eventually he's going to turn around and look at me. When he does, I'm going to have 5 treats ready, 5 minimum, and I'm going to treat them consecutively. So not all at once, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to be praising the entire time. Praising the entire time. And what I recommend is basically every time you give a treat, give a new phrase. So it could be, "What a good boy! You're the smartest dog ever." That kind of thing. And you'll notice when the dog is detached from me and looking at the other thing, whatever it is, you'll see their body language is forward. You can kind of see it with Ophelia a little bit. The ears are forward. I can't tell if the brow is furrowed or not, but sometimes the brow will be kind of furrowed, and they're just like. And then the instant they turn to you, usually the tail starts to wag, ears go back, forward flattens out. And we're reinforcing that for about 5 seconds. So what we're doing is reinforcing a more relaxed body language for an extended period of time, which is one of the reasons why you want to use lots of treats and keep that praise happening for a while. I'm not asking the dog to not pay attention to the world, because that's what I think a lot of training goes wrong. It's pay attention to me, pay attention to me, pay attention to me, but why? There's so much more interesting stuff going on outside, and it's just not realistic to me to ask them to look at me when there's 40 dogs over there, you know. What I want them to be able to do is start to split that attention voluntarily. So the first time I do this, it'll probably take 3 or 4 minutes, maybe, whatever. Second time, usually it'll be a little bit less, and the goal is to get it to about 5 seconds, where the dog will look at whatever it is that's interesting, then look up at me within 5 seconds. And once that happens, I'm going to move a little bit closer to whatever is distracting the dog. It might be a step, it might be 2 steps. I have to watch the dog to see what he's telling me, basically. If he's saying that, all right, 2 steps, I'm back to this, and then I'm going to repeat the exercise until we can get pretty much, pretty close to whatever it is. It might be another dog, whatever. You might not get all the way in one session. You might just get, halfway, and you want to kind of end it on a positive. The instant that a dog starts to lunge and bark, it means I've gone too far. I'm just going to turn around as quickly as possible, go back until the dog is not doing this stuff where you're pulling them along and they're kind of coming with me again. Then I'll stop and repeat and start moving closer again. You can see, but his ears forward, furrow brow right now. Good boy, good. So he's been somebody practiced with him. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
I did.
Yeah, Lauren. She practiced this with him the other day, so he might get this a little quicker than most. Good boy, good. Oh, you're so smart. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Good. So I'm looking for within 5 or 7 seconds, or this focus. If he's focused on me, I'm ready to go. A couple steps forward. So we're gonna go. Good. When I lose him again, I'm gonna stop. I've got 5 treats ready in my hand. I'm using my medium grade treats, and I also have hot dogs if those fail to work. So that was within 5 seconds, so I'll move forward. Good boy, good. So it's basically a connection exercise. Basically, he's choosing to connect with me, despite Brad being right there. Good boy, good. Yes, you are. Good. And I don't know if you can see that the ears are back, and then instantly back to forward as soon as the treats are over. So what I'm trying to reinforce is that more relaxed body language. So, ears forward, furrowed brow. I'm not going to let him pull. I'm going to kind of just make sure that the leash is loose. Just give you some tightening. Good boy. Good. So I'm going to reward that just because he chose to check in with me even though we were going forward. So So I'm being careful, just knowing something we learned when we were first practicing is if I go, good boy, good, he starts to jump up on me and gets too excited. So I'm making my voice pretty quiet and calm praise. Alright, buddy. Good. Let's practice a little polite greeting with you since we're here and want to say hi. So anytime he jumps on Brad, we're going to pull away, he's going to turn around. Oh, He's like, whatever, treats. Here's you. Go say hi, Brad. Oh. Try again. See if you like as he comes up to you, just like, do you know the fancy one?
I don't.
Sorry, just try it. See what happens. I'm hoping that you're praised.
Sit.
Oh no. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. So unfortunately, this isn't big enough punishment because I'm the treat giver right now. So it's like he's like, okay, whatever. If he really wants to meet somebody, and you know we weren't practicing this whole thing. Oh, good boy, good. So now he's turning around pretty quickly, which is pretty cool. Good. 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 Give him a little pet on the head. So the treats are all part of the picture. What it does do is you'll fade the treats over time so that you can use praise and things, and it actually does work as basic connection exercise. The dog actually is reinforced by praise, but you need to teach it with this abundance of treats to make it really, really high value. And you'll find that very quickly, if you're having problems with dogs being reactive to other dogs, this can help very quickly. Issue is you need to have control of the environment, and that's where it gets tricky. If you're trying to do this on walks and a dog is coming towards you, because you're not controlling where that dog is. You guys are all still. Brad was still, so we can control it that way. That's where it gets tricky, and you kind of do need sometimes somebody to help you if you have an issue with other dogs. Just imagine he gets adopted to a home and has this skill really set. So anytime their owners stand still, he's like, hello. Think about how much of a better chance he has of staying in that home at that point than if he's always just out of control on a walk. A couple times and it comes really quickly. I mean, we've only done this with him twice. You did it and just now, and he's getting it pretty quickly.